I cannot escape my fate.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Leggett here representing TeamJVS, back here again for another movie review. This is another Robert Eggers feature. If you've not seen The Witch, if you've not seen Lighthouse, that'll give you an understanding of his capability as a director and as a creator. And he is authentically creating, in this one, The Northman. The Northman surrounds a character in Amos. You see him from very humble beginnings. His father, in Ethan Hawke, is basically the king of his clan, the beginning stages of the Vikings. His mother is Nicole Kidman, and of course, something happens very early on that requires him to banish himself, but he banishes himself with a goal that he will avenge, he will save, and he will gain retribution by killing the person that put him in the situation that he's in, as well as his family. Now, this is featuring a huge cast. It's got Alexander Skarsgård. I already mentioned Ethan Hawke, Nicole Kidman. It's also got Anya Taylor-Joy, Claes Bang, Willem Dafoe. And I mean, the cast is huge, but the platform behind it in the Norse mythology, the cinematography, like everything about this is so grand. And Robert Eggers, I think, had kind of put a sentiment that this was a huge undertaking because he wanted to make it very big, but he had a lot of constraint. And a lot of people were worried, based on his comment, whether or not this would be a good film. This is not only a good film, this is a near masterpiece. Off gate, you understand, based on the presentation, of how it's so organic. Like the atmosphere, like the way they shot it, the lighting, whether there's smog going around, whether it is the lighting coming off of the water, whether it's one of the opening like moments and seeing Ethan Hawke's character coming off with his helmet and his stature and his presence there. You can feel like this is real. You can feel like this is coming from a source material, but this is authentically created and written by Robert Eggers. Now, with the action sequences, when I saw Amos, as a man, as Alexander Skarsgård, you can see it in the trailers, and he's kind of waiting in the bushes, and all of a sudden you see a spear fly through. He catches it, throws it back, and then they proceed to go and show like this very violent capability of this man. You get the understanding of where this is going to go, and it does not disappoint. Like, all the fight sequences, all the gore, all the violence, it is all the way there. Like, to the point that you can see everything happening. Like, one of the things I loved about Game of Thrones when it was on, like Battle of the Bastards, is that it wasn't like just so close up that you can't see. Like, no, it is wide out. So you can see when somebody's ducking, we see somebody's lunging, we see somebody is barely making it. You can see it all. And that is one of the ways he framed and filmed this one. But the other side of that is Robert Eggers' telling. A lot of the times his storytelling is very atmospheric, it's very weird, it's very dark, it's very, near I say, like otherworldly, enchanting, so to speak. And so when you start tackling Norse mythology, he is taking that and running with it, like the Valkyries. I don't want to say too much because it's a non-spoiler review. I may go into more in depth with somebody else that also saw it with me, so I'll talk about it later. But the way that they framed it, and the way that they use CG, the way they use practical effects, and the way they use a lot of the weird sides. Like, there's a scene with Ethan Hawke and another character and Willem Dafoe, and they're showing kind of like their lineage, their family lineage. So weird. And they do something also where there's flashes of something where it's kind of going one direction and it goes back to another scene. And there was another movie that did something similar to that, and that was X by Ty West, where it kind of was like it was going one like that. But this one is very specific to it's a storytelling thing where you're talking about a family lineage and a family tree and where this is really kind of going. And the storytelling aspect of that is where this movie really thrives as well. The sound design is amazing. Like, the sound and the score. Sound design, when the fights are going and when things are happening, they are on. But then there are moments where it's just really fluid. It's very natural. It's very upsetting. It's very immersive. And the soundtrack does not disappoint. It is very well orchestrated. But then you have some amazing talent behind, and Nicole Kidman as the Queen, as Alexander Skarsgård is the main lead, Anya Taylor-Joy as Olga. And you kind of like, the funny thing about the character Olga that Anya Taylor-Joy plays, it's not even so much like she's violent or does these different things. I think that her presence and her capability as an actress and how well she works with Alexander Skarsgård from a chemistry standpoint and how they're doing things towards the second half is just so fascinating to watch. It's like literal cinema thrown at you. And I think that The Green Knight did a good job with that, you know, with Dev Patel. But this is way more atmospheric. It's way more immersive. It's way more interesting. The funny thing is that the movie is not that long, but it feels episodic. Like if you see The Odyssey, like you're kind of like, oh, well, you know, you got a long way. Or even like if it's Troy, you know, you got a long way because a lot of moving parts that are happening. And they also give like these small little intermissions of chapters of where things are going and where they're leading to. I thought that I appreciated that because even though it felt long, it was like, no, it's long because it needs to be. Like, this is an active story that has to be told in a specific way. Willem Dafoe never disappoints, but he plays several different roles, and it's just so strange. There's the only thing I can kind of make a connection to it is the Raven and Lady Macbeth, played by Catherine, who did an amazing job. I thought she could have been nominated, but he does an amazing job in this one, the way they utilize him. Claes Bang, he plays a very interesting character that you don't know fundamentally. You're like, is he wrong? Or is it like, there's so many different things they play with the narrative, with the characters, that it's not cookie cutter. Specifically Nicole Kidman's character, like she plays a very multi-dimensional character that you can't truly understand until you see it, you know what I mean? And I find that very fascinating. And that's one of the things about, you know, all the different characters that Robert Eggers has come up with. He's reused some characters. Of course, The Witch, of course, had Anya Taylor-Joy. Of course, Lighthouse had Willem Dafoe. But he always makes characters that are not saints, that have dirt, that do terrible things, but they're layered based on their purpose, based on their beliefs and their perspective. And this movie is no different. And that's why I say this is a near masterpiece. I think that there are certain moments that I would have liked to have a little bit more definition of where it's going to go. Certain things of capability, like Alexander Skarsgård's Amos, like fighting capability. Towards the back half, I would have liked to seen a little bit something different. But nonetheless, it still didn't disappoint. And these are just nitpicks. I rest this movie at a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. This is easily, to me, Robert Eggers' best film that he's done. I think Witch is right behind it. That's not saying Lighthouse is bad. Like, it isn't. It's amazingly acted, amazingly directed. But there's a huge undertaking that he took with this. And it's the scale, the scope, and the atmospheric building of Norse mythology without it coming from a specific source material. You know what I mean? And I think that is the thing that he made this his own. And I know he said it was hard for him to do it, but I hope he does something like this again because it did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. Definitely go and check out The Northman when you get a chance. It is going to be available on March the 22nd. So definitely go and check it out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than willing to talk to you about it, just as long as it's non-spoiler related. We will possibly having a spoiler review. So stay tuned. Check out The Northman. You will not be disappointed. Peace, guys.
Falling off the top